Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we're going to have a look at psychological safety. So what is psychological safety? Psychological safety refers to the shared belief within a team or organization that it's safe to take personal risks, such as speaking up, sharing ideas, asking questions, admitting mistakes, all without the fear of negative consequences to self-image, status, or career. So what we'll do in this video is we'll have a look at why it's important, what reduces it, and what improves it. First, what reduces psychological safety? If individuals worry that by communicating they're opening themselves up to negative consequences, then that organization has a problem with psychological safety. Now, why is that bad? If people are free to talk as they want, then you'll have a more creative environment where people are throwing ideas about. Not necessarily fully completed ideas even. No one feels like they have to be an expert to contribute, and that just feeds into the fullness of the thinking that goes on. It promotes collaboration and teamwork. Now, if you've ever hesitated before saying something in a meeting, that's the feeling I'm describing. Now, you may have gone ahead and said it, and said what you wanted to say, but do you every time? And does everyone on your team every time? If people are afraid to speak up, afraid to ask questions, that's going to reduce collaboration. It's going to kill teamwork. Conversely, if individuals feel safe to say, okay, I don't know how this is done, how do I do it? They're going to learn. They're going to grow professionally. The alternative is for them to not admit when they don't know anything and just sort of try to cover it up, mask it up and just go with it. The fake it till you make it theory, which I'm not a huge fan of, by the way. There's so many unsaid implications of that phrase. Firstly, it enforces imposter syndrome. If you have to fake it, then implicitly you're not qualified for the job. Faking it also means you can't ask for help, so you can't grow. Is the organization that you're working for so low in psychological safety that you have to pretend to be 100% perfect just to tread water? How does it feel to know that there's just this thin barrier between you and them finding out? Imagine if everyone in the company was doing this. Becoming a lot less effective is probably going to be the least of the company's concerns. And this is a phrase that's celebrated. In my opinion, the phrase should be something more like, don't fake it, work hard to be better, and ask for help if you need it. Admittedly, it doesn't have the same ring to it. It's important as well to have psychological safety so we can have constructive debates. So assumptions can be challenged. If someone is making an assumption and nobody speaks up because of a low level of psychological safety, a fear that what they say may make other people think they don't know what they're talking about, then any assumption made won't be challenged, even though everyone might be thinking the same thing. No one speaks up, and these assumptions get passed and cause issues and rework down the line, reducing the overall effectiveness of the organization. To counter this, one almost has to take on a Socrative level of questioning. And keep in mind, any assumptions you challenge is probably being questioned by other people on the team. Just not everyone is feeling safe enough to say something. And that's where you can model the behavior you want. Assumptions are interesting because the more basic something is, the harder it is to question it. In meetings where quite advanced topics are being discussed, it's naturally very difficult to step back 4 or 5 steps and question an early assumption. But things get missed, and without a certain level of psychological safety, they stay missed until release. We know that organizations that have a high level of psychological safety have low levels of stress and anxiety, as well as in general being more effective. As you can imagine, not having to question yourself before speaking up removes that constant pressure. Not having to fake it till you make it means that you can ask for help when you need it, all of which is going to aid individuals' well-being. So what improves psychological safety? If leaders demonstrate that vulnerability, that openness to feedback, and that willingness to admit mistakes, then they're setting a positive example for others to follow. And that's certainly going to increase psychological safety. As a leader, you need to take any opportunity to do this. Certainly at the organization I work for, I see this on a regular basis. People in lead positions posting quite publicly asking for help understanding something. It's quite refreshing. Organizations should attempt to not only have leaders model behavior, but also celebrate positive behavior, which again will encourage individuals to keep contributing. So if an individual has spoken up, has questioned an assumption, that's something to be celebrated. And we're not talking about a certificate or anything like that, just an acknowledgement of what that person has said. Having clear expectations and performance objectives that help individuals understand what's expected of them reduces the ambiguity of what their job actually is, so they know exactly what they should be doing. If there's uncertainty about what is required from an individual, then that person is in a place where they're never quite sure if their job is done, and again, that reduces psychological safety. Organizations that encourage regular feedback and address concerns, making individuals feel valued, that's going to improve psychological safety. Where individuals are able to provide that feedback without fear and understand that it'll be acted on. This is probably one of the more difficult aspects to implement effectively, as people will not provide honest feedback without a certain level of psychological safety. And without that honest feedback, you can't determine what's reducing the psychological safety. One solution is to have an anonymous survey until you're in the place to remove that anonymity. Team building exercises is something else that can increase psychological safety. However, these can be tricky, especially if you have short deadlines. You can't expect employees to happily attend team building activities if they're struggling with their work-life balance due to the expectations put on them. And this links to another video where I talk about burnout and conditions which lead to it. If there's excessive control over an individual's day-to-day work, that reduces autonomy. And autonomy is one of those things that comes up again and again in research as something that determines a person's happiness both at work and at home. This goes back to the leaders and the way an organization works. If you have managers who are very micromanaging, or there's too much top-down communication, then you reduce the autonomy of the individuals. And again, that leads to a reduction in psychological safety. Some of the more obvious things worth mentioning: if there's a lack of empathy, or if individuals feel excluded based on their identity, then they may hesitate to speak up or fully participate in activities. Not engaging in these activities is going to lead to feelings of isolation, disconnection, and generally a downward spiral where they end up not fully contributing, until you get to the point where, again, you have a group of individuals working in your organization who are not providing, not working at their best. The cause being that the organization is not set up to ensure the psychological safety of its members. This links to another video of mine about hiring a diverse set of employees. A lot of organizations at the moment are set up to hire diverse employees, but what they're not set up to do is to understand how to help be at their best and contribute fully within the organization. Certainly I see a shift in companies wanting to hire more diverse individuals. However, what I don't see is action in place within organizations to help diverse individuals be part of the team. Again, like I said, that's another video on my channel. Feel free to have a look and let me know what you think. I hope you found this video useful on psychological safety, and if you did, be sure to subscribe and check out more of my videos.